Alright, it is the final day of Season 20, and I've got some interesting matches for you at Master 1. Yes, we are using Labyrinth in the ladder of Master 1 here, going up against what is going to be revealed to be a branded player we maxi in the standby phase, just to prevent the opponent from special summoning Fenrir. I don't know how I feel about doing that all the time just yet, but I think I might opt to save it because it might be worth the risk of playing into talents. I don't know, we'll see. Regardless though, the opponent is going to opt to start off with some standard branded stuff. They grab branded fusion off the Aluber, and I'm like, are they gonna go for it? Yes, they are. They go for Rinbrum, I think is the name. Yes, Rinbrum, by dumping the Mercurier and the Albaz. So they give us one draw, and their turn is pretty good. You know, opening branded Lost and getting some decent extension. So we know they have. Well, they brought the Albion, the Branded Dragon back, but they've dumped the Retribution to get back the Fusion during their next turn. They've got a set card, a Lost, an Aluber, and a Rinbrum, 3 cards in hand, potentially a hand trap. During the end phase, we are going to ditch the Lovely, which we play 1 of in ranked mode. I know in the festivals I've been playing 2, but in ranked you don't have the room for it, you gotta play 1. And we set a big welcome with it. So draw phase, we draw, and we activate Pot of Extravagance. Now you have to be aware that if the opponent has their toggle on, it's always going to ask them if they want an interruption because they have the Retribution in the graveyard. It doesn't mean that they have Maxi or Ash, so just be aware of that. So I kind of had to hope that they're not on Ash. The Extravagance is 1 check, the Ariana is another, but they know that I have Big Welcome set, and if they're smart, they save the Ash for the Big Welcome. That's one detriment of this deck, is that it's really hard to play through an Ash if your only extension is a Labyrinth card, like a Labyrinth Trap card, a Welcome Labyrinth Trap card. So we go ahead and search for furniture, pitch an Imperm since we hard drew a Skill Drain, which is a 1 of. The Imperm is going to be useless when Skill Drain is active, and then we're going to go ahead and activate Labyrinth. Now, before you turn off the video, I'll tell you right now, we don't end up using the Skill Drain, okay? So just stay tuned. So we're going to go ahead and now activate the Big Welcome Labyrinth after we activated Field Spell, and I thought about what I wanted to do here, and this did seem like the best option. So the opponent changed the Super Poly because they want to force me to not go for Lovely to bounce back the Ariana, and they had to do it here because if they did it after I summoned the Lovely, I would get the Lovely effect, and then they could change Super Poly to get rid of Lovely, but I'd have Ariana back in hand and I'd be able to pop a card with Lovely still. So they go into Mud Dragon by getting rid of their Aluber and my Ariana, and my Labyrinth will pop the branded Lost. And because the opponent did Super Poly, I go for Lady Labyrinth from the deck, so I can bounce it back and resummon it. Now because the card was bounced off the field, I'm going to get my double furniture effect, so this is why I end up searching for the additional furniture piece and the chandelier off the Ariana, because this card advantage that we generate is going to end up mattering a lot. The opponent changed the Mud Dragon to make it dark so that I can't target the Rinbrum or the Mud Dragon, and this card does put in work in the Labyrinth matchup because all of my cards target here, right, usually. But the nice thing is that the Labyrinth Field Spell applying the destruction effect to the Labyrinth cards, like the Welcome Labyrinth cards, don't target, so I can destroy without targeting there, and Lovely doesn't target either for the destruction. So we're going to go ahead and immediately use the Stovey Torby, ditching the Chandelier, so again, free card advantage, get another Big Welcome set to field, bring out the Lovely, and just set our hold hand and pass turn. So we know the opponent has Retribution engraved that they're going to get a Branded Fusion back with. They start off with a Fusion Deployment, revealing the Grangunol and grabbing the Cartasia. So this is interesting because the way that the field is set up right now, I have a lot of potential options. You have to be careful with this quick effect because you don't want to, like, oh, chain Skill Drain, oh, chain Compulse, and then they chain quick effect, right? I could do it in a way that I could chain both and stop this, but I want to maximize my card advantage with Labyrinth because this is a control deck and I need to control the match, so I'm playing it patient here. They're going to go ahead and activate Regain, activate Retribution, grab back Branded Fusion. At this point, I'm going to welcome Labyrinth because there's a good chance that if I bring out Lovely, I can snipe this Branded Fusion that they're getting back to their hand, right? I'm not worried about even if I don't snipe the Branded Fusion, I'm not worried because I have the Skill Drain. The Skill Drain will stop the Lubellion, the whatever, right? It will stop it all. The only thing I have to worry about is the Branded Beast popping the Skill Drain. If they go dump the Lubellion, bring out Lubellion, get Branded Beast, but they can't under Skill Drain, right? Yeah, that's right, because Lubellion can't activate. And I would just compulse it anyways as soon as it hits the field if I didn't have Skill Drain up regardless. So I'm safe either way, thinking this through a little bit more. Anyways, we don't want to activate Skill Drain preemptively, right? Because we want to maximize our effects, like I said. And here's a perfect example of what I just explained. The Labyrinth field spell, applying to the big welcome, popping the Mud Dragon even though it has the protection because it doesn't target. So really, really key things to take note of. And the opponent is going to grab back their Brand Fusion. Again, we're not worried at all. We're in a really good spot. The Aluber, because it's their turn, they have priority, is going to target the Lovely to negate. Then the rest of the trigger effects have to occur, so it passes priority back to me. Now on the higher chain link, I can activate my Lovely effect to pop a card in hand, which means that the Aluber won't end up negating the Lovely pop. So kind of funny how that works out. And we're going to, of course, regain on the furniture as well. Who needs branded regain? We got furniture regained, right? The opponent is going to opt to chain Blazing Cartasia, and I'm like, I'm going to compulse away the Rinbrum, just in case they have some kind of wonky extension play with that. I'm fine with you going into Grand Yugioh. I'll put you on your other card in hand, better be a monster. Otherwise, your Cartasia can't do anything. Because if I bounce Cartasia back to hand, they can still fuse with it, right? So I might as well bounce the fusion. That gets completely taken off the field and out of the hand and everything, right? So it puts them on, you have to fuse with whatever you got. Okay, and sure enough, they do have a monster and an Albaz, and that's actually amazing. So they end up going into Grand Yugioh, and then the rest of the effects are going to resolve here. Okay, Stovey hits the field. Look at the card advantage that we have generated, though. Going second, too, by the way, with Labyrinth. And, you know, the Maxi didn't even do much because the opponent was still able to set up a very strong board. So, yeah, it just shows the resiliency of Labyrinth to be able to set up under, like, even going second, like on turn 0. So they bring out the Aluber, and they have the Grand Yugioh, which is going to dump. And he's smart because he's going to banish, so for cost, so I can't skill drain negate the Grand Yugioh, but that's fine because Labyrinth activates to bring out an Ariana from grave most likely, and we're going to chain Stovey at the same time to just set a Welcome Labyrinth. And the reason I do that is because I want the Stovey off the field in case I want to activate the skill drain. But I think even under skill drain, the Stovey might be able to activate. I don't know, anybody in the comment section can let me know. I'm going to go test it in a solo match, but because it's left the field. But the opponent kind of just realized, yeah, we were out resourcing them and there was no extension that they had. We still had Archfiend's Ghastly Glitch for a pop anything, and we had a skill drain with the Labyrinth cards. And so we were going to get more extension with Lady before we even activate the skill drains. And then if we don't have to activate skill drain, we just get infinite advantage with the Lovely. We have the Chandelier in rotation, which can discard from hand even if the Stovey is negated. So you can just see that, you know, we're going to constantly recycle our Labyrinth cards and just gain infinite advantage under that skill drain anyways if we needed it, which we didn't even need to use. So that was a GG with Labyrinth. In this matchup, I wanted to give you all a good glimpse of FLOOWANDEREEZE before the format changes, and this deck is poised to get a little bit stronger, obviously, in the start of the format, but with Pearly coming to the game, it'll probably get weaker, but we'll wait and see how things go. The opponent starts off like insane, going first on tier limits, Field Spell for Sharon, Sharon Dump Shuffler, and then the Sharon mills 3 bangers, Havness, Rhino Heart, and Beast. I'm just like, okay, could you ask for a better start? Like, this is absolutely insane. So yeah, they're gonna go ahead and obviously fuse and draw, and if they wanted to bring back the Rhino, assuming they have another tier limit cards in hand, which maybe they did, maybe they didn't opt to use it. But yeah, the Field Spell presence is going to be a problem. They're going to go ahead and bring Crime to hand, and I'm like, of course, that's not good. And yeah, I mean, who cares? Why would you bring Rhino Heart back? You can just use Kakalos to summon it back, get a free Crime, Omni Negate. You are setting up the strongest turn 1 board. This deck, I'm happy to say good riddance to it soon. So they dump him early off of the Rhino here, and then they're going to go ahead and fuse into Rukalos. At least they didn't mill, you know, Kelbeck or Yugioh. We're going to say farewell to Yugioh soon, because if they did that and they saw we were on FLOOWANDEREEZE, they obviously would have went into Dragos Tupelia, which just would have been another interruption. The bane of my deck of FLOOWANDEREEZE is back row, so we have to worry about playing through all of this nonsense. So let's see how it goes here. Okay, so we draw for turn, we draw map. All right, interesting. Was hoping for an even lead there to bait out the Crime, but it is what it is. We're gonna go ahead and activate. They have friggin' Cosmic Cyclone in the main deck. I'm like, bro, are you kidding right now? This is insane. So Cosmic Cyclone's gonna go ahead and get rid of my map, and now I still have to worry about a Crime. They're also gonna go ahead and Keldo return back Rhino Heart, so that they can trigger map and pop my Unexplored Winds. And I'm like, all right, yeah, you got all the answers there. I'm going to go ahead and summon Eaglin, expecting to bait out the Crime here. Nope, they have the Sullick. I'm like, bro, do you literally have just like everything? So of course we're going to chain Advent here, expecting this to get negated by Crime, but it doesn't. So we're going to go ahead and grab Robina. The Sulic fizzles, and the Eaglin will search an Empin here. Then we're going to summon the Toucan. The Toucan is going to grab back the map, and then chain block with the Eaglin. The opponent is not going to Crime the Eaglin because it will shuffle it back into the deck, I think, or maybe not. It will just fizzle it, and I would continue to summon. So they're going to save their Crime for the Robina here. So I had to play through all this interruption, which was absolutely crazy. Like Master Duel, like are you like, what am I supposed to do against the opponent who literally draws every single thing? Like, it's absolutely crazy. Like one of, like, dude, I don't know. I'm getting into that complain mode, but you can see why. I hope you guys understand. Anyways, we're in a really bad position here because the reason I opted to go for the Toucan here is because I needed to get Map back in rotation to stop them from a normal summon, which could OTK me, because, you know, Pearl Rhino also boosts by 500, and this is 5,500 damage on board. You know, minus 500 is 5,000. If they put another 3,000 damage on board, I lose, right? And Map is my only interruption since I have nothing else. So, yep, I have to pass on this. To be fair, what I should do if I knew that the opponent wasn't going to, like, OTK me, I needed to crash my Toucan here, because if they're smart, they use Sulic to negate the Toucan, put their Rhino Heart in the graveyard, trigger Rhino, assuming they have a Tearlament card, bring it back, and then fuse and win the game. So I had to take the risk that they're not going to go for the, Sulic negate play, and they don't draw a Tearlament card, because if they do that, I lose. If I crash into the Rukalos, I take 3,000 damage, and then they have 55 on board, and they win anyway. So yeah, I can't even crash. So yeah, I thought about it, and I was like, oh no, I can't, because I lose. But yeah, the right play for them, they have game if they have a Tearlament card in hand to bring back off the Rhino. But they reveal Magnamut, and I'm like, okay, their last card in hand, maybe it's not. And sure enough, thankfully it isn't. But the Sulic is still on board, and that's a problem. So they put me down to 1,000, and they get Druid's Worm in the end phase, and I still have this face down card to worry about, and I'm actually worried that it's a Super Poly, because I'm like, if it's a Super Poly, I probably still lose. We draw a DD Crow, which can be helpful here. We're going to go ahead and start by activating Map, banishing an Advent of Adventure, and then we're going to go our rotation here, Eaglin into Robina, and sure enough, they negate, which is interesting. This is probably a misplay. They should really save that negate for an Empin. My only thinking is they maybe think I go for Apex, and Apex negates the Sulic if they try to activate it there, and then I just normal summon for turn and bring out Empin anyways. So you could argue if this is a right or wrong decision, but I'm going to normal summon for turn now the Robina. So if this gets negated by like an Imperm or something, I lose, right? But again, I'm still worried about this being a Super Poly. So we're going to go ahead and search out the Stree now, and then go ahead and go into Empin effect to search for trap card, because we, thanks Konami to putting Map to 1 and all this stuff, and Empin to 1, all we have left in our deck is literally trap card and one more Advent. And then we're going to go ahead and normal summon Stree, banish the Unexplored Winds, and then I thought for a long time if I just wanted to go straight into Ryza to try to play around a Super Poly, but I go for the Toucan here to try to bring back the Unexplored Winds. Again, I'm not going to be able to use it this turn because I've already used all my normal summons, and I'm just like, you know what, the opponent has already drawn the absolute busted nuts. Like, I'm not going to psych myself out like what I did in that one game against the Prank Kids player, where I'm like, they have Ash, they have everything else, and then if they didn't have Ash, I might have actually been able to come back and win. I'm like, I have to go for it, so I'm just going to go for the Toucan, bring back Unexplored Winds, and then the Ryza play. And once I said yes to another Tribute Summon, the opponent scoops, because I guess they realize that, yeah, with 2 Tribute Summons and the Empin, I'm going to be able to clear their board, and whatever their face down card was is going to end up being a bluff. So we take a look at this opponent's deck list here. They're actually not on Super Poly. They drew a 1 of Cosmic for my Map. They drew the 1 of Sulic. They searched the Crime because they milled the nuts and was able to bring back the Rhino off of the Kit Kalos. They milled the 1 of Shaddoll Beast for the free draw. Like, that's crazy. I mean, Saving Grace, they didn't mill a Kelbeck or an Yugioh. Oh, they're not even playing Yugioh. Maybe they're practicing for. Oh well, I would say they're practicing for the next ban list, but they're still playing Merly. There is no Yugioh in their deck, and they're playing 1 Kelbeck. Interesting choices. I'm not a big fan personally, but hey, it is what it is. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed those 2 matches, leave a like and a comment. That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you again if you made it this far in the video. Quantum is out.